Negros, negros, rocotos, fieros y galos, tombos y soldados con dientes de sarro, asarán a los choros, borrachos y chamos. Si quieres justicia, espera sentado. Las ratas de cuello se matan a palos, los sapos y loros también son de palo. Sueños, insomnios, cenas, desayunos. Hay unos caretucos aniñados que mafean del estado. Que pobres diablos, manilargos, afrentosos, carboneros, alevosos, encamosos, muérganos, chinchosos, pillos.
Hola amigos, ¿cómo están? Bienvenidos a otro segmento de entrevistas aquí en Aquí Son las Cosas. Este día tenemos a un entrevistado súper especial, directamente desde París, Francia, a pesar de que uno pensaba que todavía seguía viviendo en Estados Unidos, pero qué chévere que pueda compartir en este espacio junto a nosotros. Tenemos a Dave Nada, así que le queremos dar la bienvenida a Dave. Hi Dave, how are you doing?
Hola, ¿cómo estás? How are you, Sebastian? Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Dave, for your time. Algo que quiero ponerles en claro a las personas que nos están viendo. Mi inglés es un poquito oxidado. Obviamente que no lo he practicado en bastante tiempo. Voy a hacer mi mejor esfuerzo en este día por tratar de hacer la entrevista de una manera correcta. Así que gracias de nuevo, Dave, por estar junto a nosotros. Y quisiera preguntarte lo siguiente. How does social psychology helps you in the creation of new sounds and rhythms?
Okay, that's a pretty loaded question, but social psychology, which is funny, I actually graduated, I went to university college for social psychology, so I have a little bit of background about it, but it's very, I think it has everything to do with music and culture as well, like, for me, music isn't just a matter of self-expression, but it's the self-expression of a community, or different regions, like worldwide, and it's a representation of, it can be a representation of that community and that space, and I think it's yeah, of course relevant to music.
So for people that is watching us right now, you have to know that Dave has a major in social psychology. That's why I asked that question. And one thing that is really interesting that you mentioned is that it's that you know that cultures are really important in how we present ourselves to the whole world, and most importantly, through music. And the collaborations you have made so far are really interesting. I just watched with my brother a video of you as a DJ guest with Fania All Stars, and it just was mind-blowing for us. So I would like to ask you, which are the most special collaborations you've had so far?
Wow, I mean, there's so many that when I through the whole spectrum.
Listo.
I'm back.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
No, don't worry.
So there's many collaborations that I'm really excited and proud about. First of all, my collaboration with my partner from Nodastrom, Matt Nordstrom. We did some amazing collaborations from people like MIA, Skrillex, and to now with my label Hermanito and my partner Titswears, we've done collaborations with Mula from the Dominican Republic, who is one of my favorite groups right now. And we've also done collaborations with DJ Blast, who's a reggaeton pioneer. Yeah, and of course, my work with Fania and remixing Celia Cruz and working with a lot of original material from the Fania catalog, including like I was saying that, I mean, like some of the newer artists, from producers like Truco, who's producing a bunch of amazing groups, artists like Residente, and doing sorry, my mind is racing, but there's a lot of new artists that we're really excited about to be working with, and I'm just happy to be working with all these different, like a wide spectrum of artists, so that way I can. It's not just one kind of sound, I can try different styles and fuse different ideas with the collaborators.
That's amazing. And how come are you in Paris and not in US?
So I'm in southern France right now. Actually, I'm not in Paris, but I'm in southwest part of France. So my wife is from here, so her family's from here, and we came out here like earlier last year, to be just to be out here close to her family. She hasn't seen her family in a long time, and we were in Los Angeles. And once COVID hit, we were just like, okay, like let's go to the countryside. Let's go to France, and like hang there for a bit, and try to ride out the all the stuff that was happening with COVID on last year. So.
Is there a possibility that you might come to Ecuador, maybe to stay here a little, or just to visit your family in
Absolutely.
particular?
I have my mom's out there right now. Shout out Mama Nada. She's in she's from Quito. No, she's not in. She has a place in Quito, but she's also like from a little bit more north, like the Ayora and Cayambe area and Ibarra. So I love Ecuador, and I always have an amazing time when I go back there, and that's where I met my wife Marion, and like, yeah, I mean, I think in the future, like the goal, I mean, I would love to come back everything is a lot like more manageable with COVID, and I don't know, I don't know what the future that far down goes as far as maybe staying in Ecuador, but I'll have so much family in Ecuador right now, still, so. We'll see.
That's cool. And you mentioned also your collaborations, the mixture of sounds that you are capable to do through your music. Do you believe that there is a point where I'm sorry, is there a point when a music genre gets stuck and can't evolve more?
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of times, usually when a genre like gets really popular, or it gets it breaks into the commercial mainstream. Like basically, a genre can become very formulaic. You know, everyone sees what works and sees what's most popular, and they try to like mimic that. And then that just becomes it just becomes a thing. You know, like even with Moombahton, which I created in 2009. It was it was just dance music. It was a new rhythm in electronic music. So there was a certain signature sounds from that genre that caught on, and it went viral, and it ended up making its way influencing pop music and EDM music worldwide. So it became formulaic, and a lot of times genres don't, they'll either kind of fizz away, or they can evolve. And fortunately for Moombahton, we just celebrated the 10-year anniversary last year, and it's evolved a lot, and it continues to evolve. So I'm really happy about that.
Well, many people don't know, but Dave is the founding father of Moombahton, and here is another question that is related to that. So you're known as the creator of Moombahton. How would you describe this sound to someone that has never listened to it before?
Somebody told me once, it was a really funny way to play it. They say it sounds like reggaeton's weird little cousin. But for people that, I mean, the way it's a mix between house music, like I would say Dutch house, but at a slower tempo to make it sound like reggaeton, but it's faster than reggaeton. And but it has elements of reggaeton and Dutch house, and you can hear some of the sounds coming from both genres play into Moombahton. And it's like a tempo. It's a mid-tempo groove. And first more than anything, Moombahton is all about the groove.
Will Moombahton exist without Latin influence? Does your Ecuadorian roots play an important part in your creative process?
Absolutely, yes. Moombahton, I don't think would exist without the influence of Latin music. And I mean, obviously for me personally, like that holds true. And especially when I produce and I create music, and I did that with Moombahton with the Latin crowd in mind. And so, I mean, of course, for sure, I feel like that's just one of the main ingredients in Moombahton. I don't think it would be the same if you took that out.
Can you tell us a little bit more about how did you start Hermanito label? I just checked a lot of the artists that you are involved with, and the sounds are just like are so amazing. So how did you start Hermanito label?
Yeah, so Hermanito was started by me and my one of my best friends, longest friends too, DJ Titsworth. We both grew up by the DC area, and we've known each other at least 20 years. I mean, I started learning how to DJ and throwing parties with him. Like when I started DJing, like we DJed together first and learned how to produce and everything and release music. Back in the early 2000s, and we all that time, even through Moombahton, we've always kept in touch. We've always worked together, and then finally, 2018, 2019, we were talking about just starting a label that not only reflects our influences and our sound growing up and being artists, because we were always influenced by regional music. Just global music too, and not just making not just fusing these sounds together, but also trying to complement those sounds and pay respects to the regions and the scenes and the people that started that music too. So it's just a matter of us wanting to collaborate and push that sound and push those relationships even further. Not with just our circle of friends and our circle of artists, but the next generation as well. We just wanted to make these new kind of mezclas of rhythms and sounds and genres. So similar way that we've been doing, So we said, okay, let's start a label and see if we can push that.
That's really cool because, as I said before, with my brother, we checked all the things that you've made with Hermanito label, and it's just so cool to hear and to know that music is just evolving in a ways that we haven't even think about it. So that's really cool with you. And do you believe that urban music has taken over the world? Is it diversifying, or maybe it's taking nostalgic sounds to recreate something new?
I mean, I think it's evolving for sure. Because I mean, just having seen how much whether it's trap or hip hop or rap music and mixing with Latin sounds and vibes, just watching everything just kind of evolve. I mean, I see it firsthand. I remember how things used to sound and how things weren't as mixed culturally as well. So I hear dembow here in France, and it's one of the biggest sounds, and you see artists and rappers and everyone rapping over by the funk beats or trap beats and stuff like that are influenced by. I mean, it's just because I think also with the internet, I mean, everyone just has all music and everything that they can reference, online, and just not just be influenced by their region, but all over the world. So I think it's evolving more than anything.
What can we expect right now from you with your sounds, with your collaborations? Because many people just, here in Ecuador, perhaps they know you because of Moombahton, but we know that you have been creating many things. So what can we expect in the future from Dave Nada?
We have a lot of projects coming up for next year with Hermanito, and musically, of course, my head is always in so many different places, but right now, I'm still heavily influenced by Moombahton, dembow, especially cumbia, rebajadas, and same with cumbia punk, hardcore music. All that stuff is still something that really resonates to me, and has a big influence on how I approach music, and not just style wise, but just philosophically as well, I guess.
You come from the DC area where hardcore punk is just really strong. How did you get through punk music, hardcore music to what
my
you
God.
have created like Moombahton? Because it's for some people it's really strange that someone that have started with hardcore music just passes through electronic music and then with Moombahton. How did you manage to bring
I
that?
mean, that has a lot to do with like me growing up with in a Latin, like household, and like growing up with like 4 or 5 brothers, and just being influenced by all kinds of music. I grew up on hip hop, and Washington D.C. had such a huge it's like the home base for hardcore punk. That's where like Discord Records started, Minor Threat, Bad Brains. And then throughout the 90s, I used to go to hardcore shows and punk shows, and I played in hardcore bands and punk bands up until 2007. And so obviously it has a huge influence on me, and that was the beauty about living in DC. I used to live between DC and Baltimore, and both of those cities had the most amazing regional music, from Baltimore Club in Baltimore. Hardcore was big in both cities, and as well as go-go music, which is DC homegrown music as well. And all of that was playing on the radio. All of that was playing at my schools. Like like clubs everywhere. It was just something that I grew up on. Hardcore punk, Baltimore Club, DC go-go, Latin music in the house. Like I was in music heaven growing up. And so, and I used to live close to the university where I went to college for, and I used to listen to their radio station, and that's how I got even into underground music, stuff that I would never hear on their commercial radio station. So, I was a really lucky kid growing up for having all those musical influences. Oh, there was a big rave scene too in DC. It was huge. So. When I went to college, I started my radio show. That was the first thing I wanted to do, and I used to play every kind of music, and that's how I met other DJs and learned about different styles of music, and that's how I got into like collecting vinyl, being a turntablist, and collecting funk records, hip hop, underground hip hop, and mixing dance records. It was just like it was a very gradual. A gradual thing, with music, but I was deep into all those sounds. So I would try to go to all the shows, all the clubs, and just try to experience everything firsthand.
Well, here in Ecuador specifically, there are many people that still don't want to experience other sounds. It's like if you just grew up just listening to rock or heavy metal music, you just stay with that your whole life. So what would you say to someone that needs to experience a little more about music, a little more about culture? How, through your sound, you make people dance to all world beats?
Mm-hmm. I think it just takes a few people to have an open mind, and whether it's throwing a party or, like, for example, like I played a couple times the Sinvergüenza collective in Quito, which is an amazing queer collective that had an amazing underground party for that, and it created a space for that community, and they would play perreo, they would play techno. They would play, noise, punk, everything. I mean, club music, and that was, for me, that was that because I know, like, certain countries and places can be very closed mind, not just musically, but like just in many ways, like politically, and so when I see communities like that pushing sounds and pushing like state of mind and everything, like I feel like every place kind of, I mean, there's ways to go about it. It's not just music that you hear that's popular on the radio. There's underground radio stations, there's labels that are pushing like the not so familiar music and sound. So I think supporting groups like that is a great way to kind of create a ripple effect and have like you know, more communities and more cities and countries like have an open mind. But yeah, of course, like it's, everyone loves the big hits and popular music. I love pop music too, but yeah. I mean, yeah, I think it just takes some open-minded people to get together and start something cool.
How can we create a global community through culture? Because, as I said before, and you said it also, people tend to be really close-minded with the new sounds, with new experiences of culture. So, how can we create a community where we can all just dance, we can all just share experiences? How can we do that?
First of all, I think you need to have an amazing sound system. I think that would be top notch, because that's you first of all, you want a great sound system. You want a safe spot. You want a place where anybody can come to, and not worried about any negativity. Like, have the freedom to be themselves, have the freedom to dance, and like, have a great time. It could be like different, all ages, and it's about trying to be inclusive with your, with whether it's your parties or your events or your musics too. Like with Hermanito, we try to we think about that a lot. With our releases and who we work with and artists we wanna work with as well. And it's a global community out there. So I think inclusivity and open-mindedness and a sick sound system.
Do you need to have a strong musical background to do this, or it's just it all comes from the heart? I mean, like, if you know that you can change some things not only through music but culturally, do you need to have this strong musical background, or just think like the DIY mentality and just go for it?
I think heart is to me is probably the most important thing, but it can't be the only thing. You definitely need to do your homework and learn about like the music, learn where it comes from, and like my love for music is what keeps me going and wants me to keep doing music and exploring and pushing sound. So that's the main drive, but you gotta, I mean, and it's not hard to do, because if you love music and you love learning about music, that's the easy part. You're gonna learn that. But I think that's important, so that way you preserve the roots of the communities and the cultures that create these sounds, whether it's champeta or or cumbia in Mexico, or what I mean, like you want to know who are the originators, who are the creators, and what were the scenes that made these music so great and so important. And then you take that influence, and then you see where you can push it and how you can push it from wherever you are. It's a global community now, so I mean, I feel like, again, now with the internet, like it's a lot easier to learn more about that stuff. But yeah, definitely a strong heart can take you pretty far.
Well, it's all about heart. That's why particularly me, try to do this interview with you. Many people here in Ecuador, maybe they don't know particularly things about you. So through this interview, I will love that more people try to experience your sounds. Also know that people from Ecuadorian backgrounds can do many interesting things, so that people can cherish all that precious things about culture, particularly ours. So Dave, thanks a lot for this interview. Thanks a lot for your time. Thanks a lot to answer my messages, because sometimes I also try to reach other people, but like they don't no te responden los mensajes. They don't
Claro,
do that.
claro.
That's quite a downer. But thanks for your time. Thanks for this opportunity to interview you. I'm still a little nervous. Sorry if my English was also a little rusty.
No. Thank you for accommodating my lack of. My Spanish can be better. So next time we do an interview, we'll do it in Spanish.
And hopefully with that interview, esperemos que esa entrevista pueda ser aquí en Ecuador. Otra vez, muchas gracias Dave por aceptar la entrevista. Qué chévere saber, bueno, para las personas que igual vayan a ver esto, es una persona con principios musicales súper chéveres, las mezclas que él hace respecto a cumbia, a salsa, a hardcore punk, a absolutamente todo a través del Moombahton es algo súper valioso. Y pues también darles otra vez a conocer el hecho de que las personas que tienen ascendencia ecuatoriana pueden hacer cosas extremadamente importantes. Lo hizo Dave en los Estados Unidos, no solo en el área de Washington, D.C., también lo hizo en Los Ángeles, ahora está en el sur de Francia. Esperemos que también haciendo muchísimas cosas interesantes. So once again, Dave, thanks for your time. Thanks for the opportunity to do this interview. And hopefully we have te podremos tener aquí en Ecuador muy pronto, así que
thank you very much. I appreciate it so much. This has been great.
Gracias Dave. Igual amigos, no se olviden de seguir a Dave en todas sus redes sociales, escuchen sus mix, particularmente los que hace con la Fanny All Stars, que son una sabrosura total. Nuevamente gracias Dave, esperamos tenerte en otra oportunidad. Amigos, no se olviden de seguir a Paréntesis UIO en todas sus redes sociales y pues esperamos tenerlo a Dave en otra oportunidad. Thanks a lot, Dave.
Claro que sí. Gracias. Igual. Take care.